5 starts right now.
We're not going to be able to play the first 2 series of the regular season, and those games are officially canceled.
A swing and a big miss. The first several games of this Major League Baseball season will not be played.
The Rockies' home opener is still on, but only just barely.
Concern about our fans is at the very top of our consideration list.
Another setback for Marshall fire victims.
The first step is the biggest hurdle.
Removing debris from more than 1,000 homes has now been pushed back.
It's hard, no matter how many times you say that you feel bad or that you're sorry. I mean, these people lost everything, so it sucks.
And Ukraine's president gets a standing ovation.
We are fighting just for our land and for our freedom.
Major League Baseball owners and players didn't reach a deal, which means the fans strike out. Good evening, and thank you for joining us at 5. I'm Ann Trujillo.
I'm Shannon Ogden. Glad you're with us tonight. Owners today followed through with the threat to cancel games, and now the start of the regular season has been pushed back. Let's get right to our sports director, Lionel Bienvenu, with the latest on this.
And Lionel, the Rockies' first 2 series of the season not going to happen.
Yeah, the Rockies were scheduled to open up March 31st in LA, then play a series in San Diego, but that is not happening now. It's the worst case scenario for baseball. Fans, stadium workers, bars, restaurants around the stadiums, and all the people who make their living around the industry, all put on hold. The Players Union rejected the league's latest proposal, led by Rockies owner Dick Monfort, so no agreement on a labor contract after 9 straight days of negotiations. So where do we stand now? Well, canceled regular season games for the first time since 1995, and no more bargaining sessions scheduled right now, although Commissioner Rob Manfred said today they are willing to keep trying.
If it was solely within my ability or the ability of the clubs to get an agreement, we'd have an agreement. The tough thing about this process is it takes both parties to make an agreement. I'm really disappointed that we didn't make an agreement, and I'm really committed to doing everything possible to get one.
So again, Rockies' first 2 series on the road have been canceled, but now they're scheduled to open the season at Coors Field on April 8th against the Dodgers. But if they don't have an agreement in the next few days, that will be canceled as well. And as of right now, with no bargaining session scheduled, it looks like more and more games will go by the wayside.
Not the news we wanted. All right. Well, thanks very much.
Thank you, Lionel.
Well, it has been more than 8 weeks now since the Marshall Fire just devastated Boulder County. More than 1,000 homes destroyed. So many families still living in temporary homes waiting to rebuild.
And now that wait just got even longer. First, let's give you a little context here. About 3 weeks ago, Boulder County decided to contract with DRC, a company based in Texas, to handle debris removal after a bidding process. And that company was expected to start debris removal today.
But now that could be pushed back at least 2 weeks because of appeals filed against the contract. Now here to break everything down for us, Denver 7's Russell Haythorne live in Superior.
And Russell, for Marshall fire victims, this is just another frustrating setback for rebuilding.
Yeah, and this showcases the debris removal issue very well. This lot completely removed, the owner paying privately to have the debris removed, and then the lot next door, the debris is still there. The lot next to that, the debris is still there, likely waiting on that FEMA funding to kick in. And as you guys mentioned, that process is now held up in the appeals court, and it will likely be 2 weeks, maybe even longer, before that funding kicks in.
We don't have to worry about it anymore.
Inside the burn scar, there's still a lot of pain.
Yep, somebody with all their possessions and memories and everything that goes into a home that makes it a home.
And yet, as Brandon Bauman with Grand Lake Excavation shows us, there's also something very therapeutic about a fresh canvas for rebuilding.
The first step is the biggest hurdle. We're in a tight-knit community, and neighbors know each other, and just the inspiration that they see when they see that things are moving forward.
Some fire victims moving forward on their own. Several lots cleared, hazardous debris loaded into special plastic containers, fresh soil on its way in.
If you can submit the right application and the right documents, then you should be approved and get these people moving forward to the next step.
Unfortunately, while some are forging ahead at their own expense, the county's promise to start its free debris removal by today clearly not happening, held up by delays, appeals, and an overall lack of organization, according to some.
We've just been stuck
sort of in neutral for about 2 months.
Superior Town Trustee Neil Shah says coordination needs to improve for the sake of healing.
Speed is of the essence. We're starting to feel a little bit more excited. We've definitely had some massive headwinds. Debris removal was the first step. Now it's about finding home builders.
Good news for those inching closer to construction.
It does look awesome. It's exciting.
As companies like Brandon's help to keep the ball rolling.
A lot of friends and family lost their homes, and so it's hard. I'm happy to help. I love it. It's fantastic, and the people that we've met, I can't believe how good of spirits they're in.
Neil Shah and the Superior Town Board also took action last night, removing another hurdle for homeowners, passing an ordinance that rebates building permit fees and waives the 3.3% sales and use tax for building materials like lumber and granite. So for example, if a homeowner is to rebuild for $600,000, they would get $20,000 in rebates from the city or returns from the city. Just another way Superior is working to make this process a whole lot easier on these fire victims. We're live in Superior tonight. Russell Haythorne, back to you guys.
And these signs of progress help, right? Thanks, Russell. And in about an hour, Louisville City Council will discuss whether to suspend new building codes that could make rebuilding even more expensive. Now, over the weekend, dozens of homeowners rallied against the net zero requirements, and we expect those homeowners will also be at tonight's meeting as well. And we will be there too, and we will bring you the latest tonight on Denver 7 News at 6 and 10.
Well, tomorrow is the deadline for Marshall Fire victims to apply for disaster assistance loans through FEMA and the Small Business Administration. This also includes those whose homes were damaged by that wind that day. If you still need to apply, you can call the number there on your screen or go to disasterassistance.gov.
Today, Ukrainian President Zelensky spoke with President Biden about defensive help and anti-Russia sanctions. Ukrainian officials say Russia is escalating attacks in the air and targeting civilian areas. And President Zelensky also spoke to the European Union today and brought his English translator to tears.
We are fighting just for our land and for our freedom, despite the fact that all large cities of our country are now blocked. Nobody is going to enter and intervene with our freedom.
And President Zelensky received a standing ovation after his speech. And meanwhile, at the UN, a large group walked out of a human rights conference before Russia's foreign minister spoke today. The United Nations says hundreds of people in Ukraine have been injured and more than 670,000 have fled the country.
And President Biden delivers his very first State of the Union address tonight, which will be framed, of course, by Russia's invasion of Ukraine. And the Ukrainian ambassador to the U.S. will be the guest of the First Lady.
The speech will also focus on COVID, the economy, and fighting inflation. With a preview, here's Denver 7 political reporter Megan Lopez.
Hey, Ann and Shannon, this will be the president's first State of the Union address, and it couldn't have come at a more consequential time for Joe Biden. His approval rating is just 41%. That's the lowest for any president going into their first State of the Union address in modern history. Inflation is rising at the fastest rate in 4 decades. The midterms are also ahead, which don't historically go that well for parties in power. And now, Ukraine. Political experts I spoke with today say that this is the president's chance to turn the page on a rocky first year. He wasn't able to get the Build Back Better Act passed or voting rights legislation passed because of divisions within his own party. But he will likely tout the American Rescue Plan Act and investments in communities and infrastructure as a success. We caught up with Congressman Joe Neguse about what he expects to hear from the president tonight.
He will speak to the concerns of everyday Americans and Coloradans back in my district in terms of rising costs, inflation, and so much more, but that he also will touch on the real need for us to show resolve and unity in the face of unprovoked aggression by the Russian Federation. It's important for democracy to prevail over autocracy.
So this is going to be a big night for the president to set the tone for the next year. The Republican response is coming from Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds. I'm live. Megan Lopez, Denver 7.
All right, it will be a big night tonight. We'll all be watching. Megan, thank you. And you can watch the State of the Union right here on Denver 7. It starts at 7 o'clock. We'll also have in-depth 360 coverage of the speech tonight on Denver 7 News at 10.
A perfect storm reveals cracks below the surface.
This really is an unforeseen event.
It's driving me crazy.
A bright neighborhood sinking feeling. And law enforcement cast doubt on whether Barry Morphew was arrested too early for the murder of his wife, Suzanne.
We have many girls in our troop that don't have a neighborhood anymore. Even our uniforms were lost.
Plus, a local Girl Scout troop rallies together with a little help from your Denver 7 Gives donations.